This
So,
conference will now be recorded.
so where did we stop? We were trying to read the results that we have done, right? Looping through the results and trying to insert data. We have done that, right? Guys, you have to
I
guide me,
guess,
please.
sir, I guess we had some issue there. You
Reading the
said
result,
you
right?
will be, yeah.
I think this was done. Let me go ahead. I think this is the one, right? Let me done. Okay. We are logging the data and think. But this was done. We had some alter session. I just anyway, I'll just show you the example one more time and then select from ERR log. The table that we have used for loading the data, okay, and then let me truncate this. Okay, and then call it's loading the data. So if you want to look at this, right, this is the example. So select start from EMP, execute the command, get SQL text, and then once the SQL text is done, right, I'm using the result set 1. We had some issues result set 1, right, so it's still running. So here I made a mistake. Both of them are SQL set. This is result set 1. This should be result set 2. While result set 1 dot is all good. Yeah. Let me go ahead and then this is done. 41 rows. So select star from error log. So these are all the names that we are printing, right? Once the names are done, select star from EMP, get query text and number of rows updated. So we are using this particular thing. So I'm gonna replace this. Okay. So this is how you can loop through a result set and then insert the data into a table and all this stuff. Okay. Hold on. Okay. And then let's look at the next example, right? So we are trying to read from a parameter and select multiplied this parameter, you can set this up, right? So variable one.
Shikhar sir,
Mhm.
can we have one procedure where it can read from uh, S3 bucket and using pipe we can run that?
No,
It's
S3 bucket.
my humble request.
No, that's true. But how do you read from S3 bucket?
Yeah, we can create a pipe to read it, and we can call the pipe via procedure.
Now, why do you want to call the pipe via procedure? No, you cannot call a pipe via procedure. Pipe functionality is to automate the process, right? When you create a pipe, what happens? It goes and fetches the data that we have done it, right? Automatically fetches the data and pushes. When you set auto ingest is equal to true, and we have looked at that option of what do you call?
Now, if in case we have multiple folders
Refresh,
to be fetched,
refresh option, sir.
Sorry.
Refresh option, right?
uh,
Yeah, SQS option, we can use SQS option and then we can automatically ingest the data using auto ingest is equal to true. That's what uh, we have talked about, right?
Sir, then even through REST API also will do the same thing, right? So if it is
Yes, yes,
automatically
you,
taking the if it is automatically
yes.
taking that one, then why do we use REST API, sir?
No, REST API, the functionality is different, right? REST API, when you're trying to use the REST API, you are writing in a different area. That is like an ETL tool, right? You have an environment where you have some files and that particular locate from that particular outside of Snowflake.
Yeah,
Instead of pushing into S3 buckets, you can directly push it into the stage and then load data into a table.
yeah, correct, correct. Through REST
So
API, instead of putting the files into the stage every time, we'll put
yeah,
that, we'll do that thing with the help of REST API. That's what you meant to say, right?
yes, using REST API, you can. It's from a different environment. Something like you don't need to have an UTL tool. You have that REST API. From there, you can push the data and then into a Snowflake. It doesn't need to be your Snowflake environment or the Linux box or something. You have an application where you are trying to get some data and you want to push the data into Snowflake, and that application might be in different place, and you can have a code there in the same application and then call using a REST API. You can push the data automatically into Snowflake, or you can use. So, for example, if you have a queuing mechanism like what do you call
SQS
no, not SQSQ. Kafka. You have a Kafka queue, and you
queue.
are reading the queue. You are
Mhm.
dequeuing. That means you are trying to you are subscribed to the queue, and then whenever a new message comes, right, you can read that particular thing. So once
Mm.
you have subscribed, when you read the message, it comes. The message comes in a JSON format. JSON or Avro. Most of them are JSON, and that application is not part of your Snowflake. That is somewhere else. So you can write a code and then read the queue, and then once the JSON comes, right, you push it into Snowflake. You create a file out of JSON and then push that into Snowflake. So the queue is
Yes.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
So and your Snowflake is somewhere else. Without using any ETL tool, you can use Snowpipe with the API, the REST API, and you can push the data into Snowflake.
Yep. Keeping those files into stage, we'll do that. We can do
Yes,
that with the help of REST API.
REST API, what it does, it pushes the data into stage. REST API
Yeah.
normally helps you to push the data into stage, push those files into stage, and then automatically copy command kicks in.
Yeah. Sir, yesterday I was doing that one actually. I had a
Mm-hmm.
doubt on that one regarding. So I have
Mm-hmm.
created a service account. I have given the public key and private key in the REST API
Mm-hmm.
Python code. So
Hmm?
there initially I did not give any permission to those objects, whatever the pipe I have created, stage and those
Hmm?
things.
Hmm?
So later it got failed actually. Okay, then I came to know that we have to give the permission to all the objects that we want to run
Yeah.
to the service account.
Hmm?
So in real time also, we whatever we create in our dev environment, like in our account, so we have to give permission to each and every object that we have to execute with service account.
Perfectly. If not, it doesn't. It cannot work, right? So service accounts are very, very powerful. Their passwords are very, because even in the regular production environment, right? You cannot insert, update, delete. The service account has all the capabilities, so it will have privileges on all the virtual warehouses, all the objects, all the pipes, and everything.
No,
So
I didn't get that, sir. No, it has. You are saying it will by default it is having all the permissions
no,
which
no,
are
no,
there in
no.
the
You
service.
have to, the service account.
Oh,
You have to grant all the roles to the service account.
oh, okay, okay, okay. Okay. In real time also, like we'll just give permission to those objects and we'll execute on that,
Yes,
right?
service accounts are powerful. All the roles that you create, whatever the stuff that you wanted to run in background, then that service account should have all the privileges to execute that stuff.
Okay. So then in that case, why don't they give sysadmin to the service account, sir? Sysadmin is having all the permissions, right? Generally.
You can give them. You can. No, that should not be a problem. You can give them. But
Okay.
normally we don't give sysadmin to service account. We do for the sake of so for auditing purposes, right? Which role? How do you know sysadmin if you use sysadmin, right?
Hmm.
Sysadmin might be given, so you cannot, what do you call it, audit properly. See, if you have a finance department and you have an order management department, you have a sales department, they're all running their jobs.
Hmm.
And how do you identify which particular department has run this particular thing? How do you build them? At the end of
Okay.
the day, you have to, normally in a big enterprise kind of thing, right? Each of
Yeah.
them has to be built separately, and then you have different roles to them, and then you normally they create, if the jobs are more red, they create big service accounts as well, sorry, different service accounts for each department as well.
Okay. So every department uses their own role.
So yeah, their own roles, and also whenever at the end of the day, if you want to see how much has been you utilized by which particular role, which particular warehouse, you have to get, and then at the end of the day, you have to bill the department how much they had worked upon, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Got it.
So, and so, Santosh, to your question, right? You
Yeah,
cannot,
yeah.
the procedures cannot do anything. Procedures can transform or insert, update, delete. They cannot call. You can create a task and then refresh the pipe, and then you can do things. So, what do you want to achieve through a procedure?
Yeah, yes, sir. Actually, what my case was I have four different folders in S3 bucket. Okay, and each folder
Okay.
have 10 files in each, and that we have to load. The target would be the target table in the snowflake would be same, but for now I have four folders in S3 bucket. In my future it might get 6, 10, 20, or it might go to 100. For every time I cannot particularly point to one folder node, sir. So that should be a dynamically
You want to have a pipe that needs to be pointed to a different folder.
folders as and when they might increase or decrease for particular I have one folder. Within that folder I have subfolders. In subfolder they might create a number of folders or they might decrease the folder, whatever the in the main folder, whatever the folders are residing, those all need to be loaded. Table is same, but those folder structures are different. In that case, what best could be done?
I'm thinking about. So there should be, then how do you identify? See, today you are loading into one folder, tomorrow you're loading into different folder, and day after tomorrow you're loading into different folder. Is that the scenario then?
No, sir. For example, I have a date. Today's date is there. Every time the date will be there.
Hmm.
26, 21 folder is there. Within that folder, I have six folders. A,
Okay.
B, C, D, E, F. I wanted
Hmm.
to load from all these folders to one table, and each folder have 10 files each.
Then you have to use. So no matter what, when you create a pipe, you will have onto the root folder kind of thing, right? Underneath that you have the subfolders,
Yes, sir.
and you have to the names of the files or something like. You can use a regex pattern, something like a regular expression where you want to search what files you want to load. In the copy command, right? You have a regex pattern. Using that particular pattern, you go and look under each. Uh, I have to check. You can create a snow pipe on that particular thing, and then
Sir, but in the one from main folder, we will have to look for different folder, no, sir. But how that can be
no, the
achieved?
names of the folders will be at least same, right? You cannot change the names of the folders dynamically, right? See,
I'm
you
not
should
sure, sir. That
hold on, hold on.
yes, yes.
Whenever you're doing something, right, you should have some assumption like my folder names will start with this one, or my folders will have dates. My folders will have this many subfolders which has different names like this. You should have some assumption. Randomly, you cannot create six different folders and try to load. That cannot work out, right?
Okay, that's not something achievable then.
That is achievable. Then you
Yeah,
have to create
Okay,
the pipe every
we
time.
can do no, sir. We can do that one, right? So if we have pattern, we can create event on top of that
No,
pattern
but
type, right?
even when you're trying to search for a pattern, you should know what particular pattern he has to search for, right?
Yeah. We have to give. Then
So there
we
are,
can kick up the lambda function, right? In S3 AWS.
no, we are over engineering. We don't want to do that. So that is a different story. You want to make life little simpler to maintain. Then you have to call an external function, and when you call from Snowflake, you have to call the external. It's a big thing. You should have an API and call the API. We don't want to go that route. You should
Okay.
have your life much more simpler. So if you don't, so when you're trying, so there cannot be a scenario. There might be a scenario that the S3 buckets are being created by a third party, and in those third party, then you have these folders. Then if you want to know what are all the folders, right?
hmm,
Then you have to create a stage on the root folder, and then you have to see what are all the files that gets generated under this folder, and you have to load all of them, because whenever this is your case, right? Hold on, let me finish these procedures and we'll come back and I'll show you. We can simulate using an internal stage, and then how your folders look like, and whenever you we'll push the data into internal stage and see how it looks like. Okay.
sure, sir. Along with that, I want to remind one more question. I
Mm,
probably asked in the initial stages. Most
mm,
of the transformation I know because in the ETL, when we consider ETL tool and all, we do most of
mm.
the transformation like aggregating and different steps. Where exactly we are employing those transformation in this case? Is it all in procedures?
No, you can write. See, it depends upon your business logic, right? You can put that in a task, or you can write it in a
Mhm.
SQL file and run that SQL file, or you can write it in a procedure. So how your business is based on that you will be employing. You can write it in a procedure. You can write it in a SQL file and then run the SQL file using SnowSQL, or you can run that using a backend job. So how you want to implement your business file, that's what it is.
Okay. So basically the transformations and all using SQL or using procedures.
Procedures, yes.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sir, sir,
Mm-hmm.
one more question. The last one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I create a SQL file, okay,
Mm-hmm.
so how do we execute, sir? Just like how we are calling the snow pipe in the same way, we have to call with Python?
No, no, no. You can run SnowSQL, right?
No,
SnowSQL.
no, no, no. See, this is production environment. I wanted to automate it.
You want to automate what? How do you want to? You want to run a
No,
SQL
yeah,
file?
I want to run one SQL file.
Yeah, one SQL file. If you run, you can use a service account, and then it has the credentials, right? Hyphen F.
Yeah,
Whenever
yeah,
you're
yeah. Mm.
connecting, use the service account hyphen F and then the file name.
Yeah, so how we are calling the snow pipe in the same way, we have to call it. That's what you want to say, right?
How you're calling SnowPipe means you're talking about Python, right? Yeah, the
Yeah,
same
REST
way.
API, REST API, REST API.
No,
Yeah.
you don't need to do that way. So SnowSQL hyphen the connection
Uh,
parameter, you would have given the connection parameter for service account, right?
yeah.
Hyphen F SnowSQL.
Hyphen F.
I've shown
Mm,
you an example of calling a SnowSQL using connecting to a service account. If you look at
yeah.
my example in the service account, right? I've in the last once you configure the service account, you
Mm,
can use that SnowSQL connection parameters and then connect to service account. There you can run hyphen F and then the name of the file name.
mm. Yeah, correct, correct. Who will run that? Who will run that one? I mean,
You have
where
to
do we
configure
pass
by
that command?
if you want to run it in the background, you should have a tool, something like a third party like
Okay,
Tidal or a job scheduling tool, which you will employ to run
okay,
this.
okay. Okay, got it. Okay, that is one command we have to give it to any of the scheduling tool where it
Yes, that
can
is.
come and
Yeah.
execute it. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Okay. And then, so here you're trying to set up a variable, and then this variable you can pass it. This is the procedure. SC parameter create or replace, and then you can call the procedure by passing this parameter. See, so 49 twos are 98. So you can employ a a procedure and then you can execute this particular thing. Okay, you can pass variables as well, and then so this is another example. So I'll show you the difference of what it is, right? So I'm creating a procedure to run it as an color. When you set it as a color, then only the session variables and everything will come into the picture. If you run it as a owner, right, you cannot even execute your procedure. First, let me run it as color. So how do you execute a procedure? So you are creating a procedure telling that I'm executing as a color. Okay. So snowflake select session. I'm setting a session variable here 50. Select two star session variable. So 52s are 100. I'm getting that value, returning that value. Okay. And I'm unsetting that session variable. Okay. So I'm gonna create this procedure and then I'm gonna call this procedure. Did we run this? Oops. Set variables. Okay. So set variable, whatever the variable that we have set inside this particular thing, we have got read the variable and everything. So because you have used it as a color function, so it will allow you to create this variable session variable setting in the procedure and all this stuff. If you take this out, right, then whenever if you don't put it execute as color, it runs as owner. Okay, I'm gonna compile this one, call set variables. See, unsupported statement for set. When you're running it as owner, right, it behaves like the owner cannot have the session variables and all these stuff, right? So it doesn't allow you to do that. So let me just select get ddl procedure, comma. Can you see execute as owner? I did not mention anything here. So if you look at it, right, if you don't create execute as caller, by default it becomes owner. When you are trying to play, so as a owner, it cannot set up the session variables and all this stuff. So the current, so we are running in the same user here S modem, so that so normally we create a procedure and give it to somebody else. The role will be different, the user will be different, so they can you can read the session variables of the caller. That's what you can do. But if you're running as a owner, this session variables doesn't come into picture. So that is the reason when I use it as a owner, right? Then it throws me an error. I cannot set the variables inside and all this stuff. Only caller functions have this. Are you able to follow me? If you are executing this procedure as a caller, then only you'll be able to set variables inside that procedure. If you're executing it as a owner, you don't have, it doesn't allow you to set the variables. That's what it means. Okay. And if you go and call this, because you have already set this, right? I'll make it as a execute as caller. Okay. And I'm taking this out. I executed this and then select can you see I can read these values because this is part of the same session. So owner means it thinks you are the same thing is not you are not the owner, and then it doesn't allow you to set the variables in that particular procedure, and you cannot read any of this stuff. Here you can do that. Okay, and you can in this particular thing, right? You can use session variable this one, right? You can use outside. I will do this. Set session variable. Okay, and then This is how we can comment this. So where am I reading the session variable from now? Whatever the session variable that I have set up in the session, this procedure is trying to read the session variable. And let me call this C100. Whatever the variable that I have set outside of this procedure, but I have set it in the session, and the procedure reads the session variable and then it executes. Okay. Okay. And then coming back to, and we have looked at the binds example, right? So let me show you the binds example. How do you create? Before going there, I'll show you one more thing. Okay. So this is the procedure where get row count, you're passing the name of a table, and then it select count star from table name. Okay, and then it executes that and then returns back the count, return row count. This is what we have written here. I'm executing and then I'm passing employee name here. So 41. So you can dynamically go and build your SQL statements. Sometimes when you're trying to build your SQL statement, right? So where you might have something like, I'll show you the same thing, where ename is equal to so table name ename varchar varchar. So I'm passing the varchar to this particular thing. So I'm sorry, I'm passing the name. So select star from table name. This is the SQL statement that we are trying to write here. When you're trying to write here, right, then plus the table name plus how should your SQL statement should be plus your where ename equal to, and normally you have to build your SQL as such. If you execute the SQL statement outside, it should be the same. So if I write like this, right?
Sir, take that ename also dynamically, no?
Yeah, I'm just trying to pass the ename dynamically, where p name is equal
No,
to
no, no,
something,
but
right?
column name and take. So whatever the column name we are taking, that also should take as a dynamic.
Then
Ename
you
we are
have to,
taking, right?
then
Yeah, we
instead
have
of
to
here,
take
right?
one more variable we have to take.
No, come again. So see, if you
Uh,
want to get the column name, whatever the column name that you want to get it here, right? Instead of count star, you have to get that column name here. Select
no. Count star only at the end where ename equal to something you're passing, right? Here, that
where
see
ename
whatever
is
the
equal to.
column, yeah, whatever the column name also should be dynamic. I'm telling.
Oh, you want to pass this also,
Yeah, yeah,
okay?
yeah, yeah.
Then
See, sometimes I can pass ename, sometimes I can pass employee number also, right?
be column name where care, comma. Then I have to say column value. So then I have to build something like this, where p column name is equal to PE name, PE column value. Is this correct?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
Okay,
So, but while
so
calling this procedure, we have to pass three parameters.
1 second. All of a sudden, this. Have to have this. And I'll be using this log plus so I'm trying to get the query text, whatever the query that I'm building, right? I just want to see what is my query. Okay, and then so I'm just I'm getting statement dot execute and I cannot get the count here because yeah, basically we are just getting the count and returning the count. Okay, and then truncate table log. Okay, so employee name and column name e name comma value is king, right? There is some problem. If there is a syntactical error, it fails here. If the syntax is all correct, all the double quotes are correct and everything, right? Then it compiles and then when you execute, then it fails. So double quotes, I close it here, plus table name, plus where, plus column name, plus double quotes, plus where is this? This should not be the case, right? Select what is this? P column name is not defined. So
The
can
capital
you
letters we have
identify
to
why
take.
this? But yeah,
Capital
that
letters
is
we have
what
to
the
take.
issue. Yes.
They're recommending in that way.
No, it's not recommendation. That's what we talked about, right? When we are using JavaScript or procedures language, then you have to use the parameters in uppercase.
Uppercase, yeah.
Now I'm gonna run this. Get row count. Query text is not a function. What is the query text? What was that?
The SQL test, sir.
Sorry, SQL. Yeah,
Yeah.
my bad. Invalid identifier king at statement execute in level. So when you go look at the error log table, right? Select star from error log. What is the select statement that you have written here?
You know. I think
King
we
should
have
be
to
in the
pass
single quote, right?
double quotes, right?
Huh?
King
King
should be
should
in
come
single
in
quote
the
or double
single
quote,
quote.
right? String, right?
Then you have to build your SQL such a way that you execute as if you are part of. How do you execute your
Hmm.
SQL in a regular environment? You have to use that. Okay. Now I'm compiling it. Sorry, I got
Yeah.
3. Now it's working. If you go and look at the error log table, right? See, this is the statement. So when you have too many like codes, single codes and all this stuff, right? You'll run into those kind of scenarios. So the easiest and best way to handle this is, right, you can use a bind variable, something like an example here. Snowflake dot create statement, right? SQL text. Here, instead of giving the SQL text that you can give like this, double quotes, the entire thing, right? You can copy. I'm gonna save this. Where is this dynamic SQL? Okay. And then I'm gonna show you how to write the dynamic binding way of it. So here you don't need to write this. You copy the SQL statement. Control X. Here you don't need the command. Okay. From you don't need to all this stuff. So the table name is dynamic. This all is dynamic, right? You can have from colon where
So what is the difference between dynamic and binding?
dynamic and then what is the other one?
Binding.
I'll tell you what is binding. Dynamic is you have written in your previous example, you have written the SQL statement, you are passing the variables and you are trying to build the SQL statement. Whatever the values that you have passed, based on that your SQL statement gets built. You pass the table
Correct.
employee name and then the value. Then you can pass employee number and then the number. So you are trying to build the SQL dynamically based on it. Okay.
Okay.
Here binding means I'll tell you. You are also building the statement here also dynamically, but in a different way, where your table name equal to your column name equal to the another column name, double quotes. So your SQL statement ends here and you can write binds colon and square bracket. What is the first question mark that you want to pass? Table name.
Table name.
Same order we have to give, no, sir?
Yes, same order. And the second one is P
P column name.
column name, comma P column val. Okay. 1, 2, 3 are replaced by 1, 2, 3 and execute. And if you want to build, we do have the SQL text, we can see that as well. truncate the. I compile this procedure. I'm calling this unexpected question mark. I might forgot the syntax somewhere. Binds colon this thing. Command comma. I might have forgot the syntax somewhere. Select from where this one binds table name SQL text colon select star count star from unexpected question mark statement execute line 1617.
Instead of that one, we can give uh, colon 1,
Colon
colon 2,
1,
colon 3.
colon 2 also, but both of them should work.
Yeah.
1, colon 2, colon 3. Unexpected at statement. Let's go and see what is the select count star from colon 1 where 2, 3. It's replacing it, but it's not
Not
binds.
replacing with the value.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Column name, column value, column name, column value. Why is it not replacing? I'm not sure. Table name is not different. Whatever we have done is the correct one.
So can we check the error table so that we'll come to know what it is framing the
No, it
code?
still has the log. It's not replacing colon 1, colon 2, colon 3.
Yeah. Got it.
Okay. I'm missing some syntax here. Create statement, command, timestamp value. No, that's nothing else. Binds colon, comma, binds colon, all this stuff. I don't have anything. Table A is not defined. Table name. Syntax error 1, position 21. A statement exists. And if you look at here, right, I have something similar. insert into table 1 values colon 1 2 3 4 5 8, and I'm just replacing the values with different ones. So SQL command, and then trying to bind the values.
Sir, if the bind variables are a string values, then we have to give it in the single, double quotes or single quotes, right? Maybe that
No,
is the problem.
that should be the case, but it automatically takes it. That is the advantage of having binds. When you bind it, right, it knows what kind of, if you don't have a value here, if you pass a value, it will take a value here, something like em.
Correct. Actually, p column value is the string for us, like as we have tried
No,
last
no,
time giving in a single
whenever,
quote, right?
that is true. That is, one second, I'll tell you. So this is not the case. If you're hard coding anything and you want to pass it as character, then you put it in quotes.
Okay.
And the table name should, now it doesn't bring the table name. See, unexpected question mark. There might be small mistake. See, it's still not getting the colon 1, colon 2, colon 3. Did we compile this? No, see, not create statement, SQL text. Maybe I should not be, I should be executing rather than creating the statement. Let me show you. Execute this one, this I don't need. Still, syntax at line 1 at position 21 expected. What did you write in the binds? Binds is colon only, right? Select colon 3. There is some syntactic error that I am missing. Binds colon SQL text colon SQL text SQL text. select count star from so and so, binds, table name. It's not even taking the replacing the binds. I'm not sure. Execute snowflake dot execute rest dot column value 1. Unexpected, there is some colon somewhere which is not being bullet. Hmm. I'll correct and send it to you guys. I have to work on. So this is so stupid. Normally this is how we have to do it. If you look at this, these are the same thing. Values and passing all the values colon 1 colon 2, and then it should be replaced by this one, right? So, and I don't know why this is throwing an error.
The Snowflake documentation also it is the same only, sir. But I don't know why
Yeah,
it is.
it's the same thing.
Yeah, same is there. Yeah.
There is some sometimes, right? I prefer this way. I clean up the whole thing. Unexpected question mark. Able to operate this. This table name is not able to replace the table name with the question mark. So even with the binds, right, it's not able to. These two things also not getting binded. I have to create. So anyway, I'll write this and send it to you guys. There is a different way of writing it. So I have to check what is the values being passed. It's not replacing the binds. I don't know why, but let's hold this off. I'll write it down and send it to you when I send you this particular text file, right? I'll send it to you as well. Something similar, right? So current date greater than 2 stamp of :1, and this is the format. You're passing the timestamp value. So you're just binding it with that particular value, and then it replaces and executes that. Okay. So replacing the variables can be replaced, but I'm not sure whether the table this is as good as what we have written. So I'm not sure why it has been done like that. So let me troubleshoot that and send it to you. Okay. And then this is how you call write bind, pass the variable timestamp, and it comes here. Okay. And here you are creating a table, and then you're trying to have a table with v, varchar, timestamp 1, integer, float, numeric, date, and all this stuff. You're passing TSV, timestamp value. So you're converting into LTZ and then converting all of them into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different values. The TSV, this is varchar, this is a date, get column value 1, and then these are all the standard values. F, we have pi values, and then you're just trying to dump it, convert it, and dump it, basically, this kind of thing. Okay. So whenever you're trying to use NTC date, right, we have to use S of date, S of date, timestamp date. So you can use S of date, which can hold the date format in JavaScript. Okay. Written my S of date. Okay. And then dynamic SQL, we have seen this. You have to build codes around it and all this stuff that can be done. So you have to build your SQL as if you are trying to have the running the query in the worksheet or SQL, right? You should have the appropriate single quotes, double quotes, and everything, so that you can execute the query. Okay. And this is the do log function that I've told you, right? We have been doing it from the first place itself. How do you set up the log and insert it, right? This is the function, and this is the example, same example that we have utilized. Okay. And this is the recursive stored procedure. I want to show you this. We have some limitations on the recursive stored procedures, right? So I'm trying to, there is a counter that I'm passing, and what I do, right, counter snowflake create insert into a table the counter value. So I'll just create a table here similar to that one. column varchar already exists. So what it does is, right, it first comes whatever the counter that you have given. For example, 5. It goes insert 5 into this particular table and comes back. If the counter is greater than 0, 5 greater than 0, and call recursive function, and the parameter that we are passing is counter minus 1. Okay, so what is the counter that we are, counter is the 1, counter minus 1. Where is the counter 1? Yeah, binds counter 1. Counter 1 is equal to counter. We are populate the counter into counter 1. First time we insert, if you pass 5, 5 is inserted, and next time we will say 5 minus 1, 4, and call the same procedure, recursive striproc, recursive striproc. So it calls the same procedure by until it becomes 0. If it's 0, if it greater than 0 only, it goes and insert. If not, it comes out. So let's run this example. I passed 4. 4 is a float. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. I am trying to build that here. Accumulator plus counter 1 colon and the return value. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So if I pass 5, right? Let's see. So how many counters did it go through? What is the stack depth here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has gone down 5 times,
Yeah.
right? I'm going to increase it to 5. So it throws in a recursive. It cannot. So the max depth is only 5. It cannot go more than 5. If it runs for the 6th time, it throws you an error. Okay. So JavaScript procedures you can recursively call, and the recursive depth cannot be more than 5. Okay. There is one thing. And then, so how do we use it? Try and catch. So here we'll try to use the exception part of it. So how do we exception, right?
Sir, in the previous case,
Hmm?
let's say, for example, we are trying to identify the smallest number or biggest number out of two input values. Okay, like that we
Okay.
can give so if you are passing the function procedure inside the function, we cannot pass more than five variables.
Yeah,
It
we
can
cannot five iterations.
five iterations. Yeah, that means at maximum it can find the maximum number from five different numbers only.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next one is, how do you handle the errors? So you can normally in the Java environment, right? You use try and catch. JavaScript also uses the same thing. Try means if something has an error here, you just catch the error, and then whatever you want to do, that is a business. So normal, without try catch, you cannot even execute the JDBC call. That means connection, executing the statement, getting the result. That it has to be mandatory inside a try block, and then the try catch is a mandatory in Java. In Snowflake, they haven't made it mandatory, but if you want to handle the exceptions part of it, right, you have to use like this try and write all your execute statements, creation, preparation, statement dot create, statement dot execute, result set, everything that should be written in the try part of it, and then catch. And if you have any error, this is the syntax. You have to remember that, no other choice. And then, so error has three methods: err dot state, err dot message, dot stack trace. Okay, let's see what it is. Let's run this particular. This already exists, so I'm gonna call broken. This failed, so it is not giving me the complete error. Result is equal to, it has to, item varchar not null language where result is equal to something, and in the result I have failed code, error dot code, error dot state, message, everything, return result. Maybe I would have modified the, so see, I have put in separate slash n gives me in a new line. So if you look at this, right, failed code, code is this one, state is this one, message in a new line, SQL compilation error, syntax error line something. So if you copy this, right, stack trace means where this error occurred, at what line and all this stuff, and error message, this is the error message, the SQL command is invalid, and the code is this one, state is state this part of the Java stuff, we don't know it. The message is the one that crucial, syntax at error line and position unexpected invalid, this is the one that we executed, right, invalid command. So invalid command doesn't make any sense. This is one way, but error has three methods. If you want to store it, you can have the stack trace as well as message as well as state and the code. Okay, this is pretty much about this, and then let's do another example. So you can use the same try catch to make so custom exception, right? If your business logic is something like, let me show you this example. Okay, if you're passing age and if the age is less than something, you have to error out the procedure. So if you have a business logic where you want to error out something, right, then you can have the same try catch logic, but if you want to throw the error, right, you have to say throw age cannot be negative. When you say throw and then give the message, right, this becomes the error message. So let me run this, and I am calling age is equal to -10. If you look at the error, right, see, error age cannot be negative. And if you pass the positive one, right, so you can handle your business and then throw. So normally in your Oracle or any other languages, they have these exceptions to throw a custom exception so that it is a valid thing as part of your procedure. The data that is coming in doesn't make any sense. This is the error, and the current error is a custom error that you intend to. It's not getting validated properly. Go check out something which is not correct. So that those kind of things, if you want to handle in JavaScript, you have to use try catch with a throw exception part where you can throw the error and then handle the error. Okay, if I say 40, right, age validate, and you can have, so if you want to build your if else conditions, right, so if this is the one, else this is the one, so you can keep on writing whatever the business logic you want to do. Okay, so logging an error, we have seen this, right, insert into error log values, do call do log, this we have seen already, right. So if you want to log it as a what do you call, um, you mean the binding part of it, right? So I do remember now, whenever you're trying to bind, right, the table name, how do we do that is still a puzzle to me. I'll try to double check and then write and then send it to you. Okay, so insert into error log values 1 2 3 4. I do think that error log cannot be dynamic. error log has to be there, and then the values can be binding. You cannot have a SQL statement which has the SQL statement itself which doesn't have the table name as binding. So let me double check on that. So I am passing all the values: error code, error state, error message, error, and I can log all the details. So this is a common phenomena when you have any procedure logic anywhere, you log all this data in error log table. That is a common thing. So I am creating error log table, broken, and then I'll call the broken thing fail. Select star from error or error log. See, right? So you have normally what happens, right? The log and error log, you put it into your log table. So whenever you're running your procedures, right, you have everything. What are the parameters that are passed? What is the logic that you have executed? Number of rows updated, number of rows inserted. You keep on writing them, right? You will have a log. Normally, you generate a log file. So the some of the people, what they do, right, they want these log files in the S3 buckets. So if you have this kind of scenarios, right, so first what you do, first in your procedure, create a temporary table. Okay, and then you insert all the data, your log table, right, the function log function. Log function should insert into error log, the temp table, temp error log or log table. Okay, and then you need to put this entire log into S3 buckets under something. How do you do that? Now you have the table which has all the details, log table, right? Copy into S3 underscore stage slash log from log table. File underscore format is equal to CSV or my CSV format. You understood how you can do that now? So people have this requirement. They want to store whenever a procedure is executed. They want to have all the log to be generated into S3 buckets. If you want to have the log to be generated into S3 buckets, you can do like this. Okay. So I have an example here. So this is the original do log table, and then so I'll say do log 1, and then first thing what I'm trying to do, right, I'm looking for a variable called do log. If this, that means if you want to log the data, then only log the data. If not, I don't want to log the data. So when you are trying to set any variables, execute as caller. Make sure that your procedure has execute as caller. So see if you should log, check for session variable do log is equal to true. If do log is equal to true, then only it will log the data into a table. If not, it won't log the data into a table. Okay, and then try. I'm selecting from that particular variable. If it's okay, that's fine. If not, if it throws an error, if this variable itself is not set, it throws an error. Swallow the error variable and do not do anything. If this value is true, do log is equal to true, get column 1 equal to true, If I have set the variable as true, then I'm trying to create temp table, identifier, log table. That means identifier make sure this is a function which makes sure that the table, that the value that you are passing to create a table follows the SQL table naming format. It can start with underscore. It can have all characters from lowercase to uppercase, and it can have dollar in it. So these are some of the conditions that the Snowflake allows for creating a table. So when you say identifier, it goes and checks whether the table name that you are giving is false or it follows the table name conventions. Okay, and if not exists, create temp table identifier log table name. I don't want to create a temp table. I just say create table. If not exists, table name message execute. So what are the table? This is also variable. Whatever the table name that you pass or you set in the session variable, that will be taken as and creating the table. Okay, and then insert into identifier that table name values colon 2 binds date dot now. What on the current? 1 second, guys. I want to have some water. And execute that particular thing. Okay, so now I created this procedure. Okay, if I run do log 1, right, do call do log 1 and then test. What happens now? Okay, so I'm saying string, right? I'll try to mimic something here where status is equal null. Status is equal to return status. Okay, if and this one, right, throw error. So no logging enabled. So first thing is, right, we'll set this do log is equal to true. Set do log is equal to true. And now see, now it throws an error. Log table does not exist. There is no log table here, so you cannot do that. So you have to set the log table. Set log table is equal to my log. Okay, I'm calling this. Now the table got created. Select star from my errors log. See, you have the test. So you can dynamically log if you don't want to log, and if you don't want to log, right, if you set it to false, I do log. So if you query this log, right, I don't have that because you disabled the logging thing. So you can have the same stuff, do log. So you can do the same thing in your environment, where if you want to log, you can set this variable, and if you don't want to log, you set the variable to null, or you can have this logging with a warning or an error, or you can break it down to variation, what kind of, whether you want to have, what do you want to say, so you want to log only if it's a warning, if you want to log only if it's an error. Okay, so you can break it down and then handle based on it. Okay, this is what it is now. And then, so this is the same example to test this, my test, and call do log, whatever the message that we are passing is a function, do log this message and all this stuff. It doesn't do unless until you set do log is equal to true, set log table is equal to my log table. This is what we have executed here. Okay, and there is one more example where you are trying to, okay, generate a comma separated values, and then, so let me show you that. I'm creating a table called first bronzes. It's already there, the data is also there. I'm creating this procedure which, so select star from western provinces, order by province, and then looping through each and every value and generating comma separate. So these three are now I'm just putting into one single line. Okay, so let me call this particular. See, this is how the results. 1 Alberta, 2 British Columbia, 3 Manitoba, which I have inserted as rows. Now I am getting it as one single record. Okay, so, and if you want to get the same result, I can set it. So what I am trying to insert that particular data into a table. I have created one transient table already exists. I am running the, which gives me this one. I am inserting into table. So now I want to split it based on these particular things, right? So when I run this, I get this value. Alberta, British, Manitoba, whatever the thing that I can break it down by slash n. Whenever I'm building it, I'm using slash n. Where is this slash n? One second. So lateral split to a table, whatever the single row, break it down into multiple rows and have a new line character. And you can just say only value from this one, which gives only this value column. So this is just a scenario which one of the person was having. So I just wanted to show you how you can read the data and get it into one single line, transpose into single line. So there are some functions like list aggregation does the same thing. If you have a comma separated thing in your result set, if you want to break it down to rows, right, you can use list aggregation as well. That is the reason I have given this example here. Okay, and how do you return array of messages? So if you want to have, see, for example, you have logs and you are writing all the logs, and then all these logs, instead of inserting into a table, you want to write it into a table. Okay, so first thing is, right, you can create an array and then you can push all the logs into the array. array.push, error, array.push, warning. Whatever you want to push, you push everything into an array, and then you can query the array using lateral split, right? Split to table kind of thing, right? There is a function which you can query the array, and then that array you can insert into a table, select star from, or you can copy into an S3 buckets from that particular array. You can convert the using lateral function. If you go and look at the Snowflake documentation, right, the lateral function, you can what do you call? You can convert a array into a table, meaning you can query from an array which gives you the result set, and you can push it into ASC buckets. Okay, so this is another example where you can push your data into arrays, and then lateral file. So this is the example. Lateral flatten input, you pass the array $1 which gives you the data. So instead of you inserting a temporary table and all this stuff, right, you can push everything into an array, and then from the array you can generate a result set like this, and then you copy into a bucket or whatever you want to generate a file. You can generate a file from this particular thing. Are you able to follow me? So let me run this. So this is an array, returns variant. Arrays are written as variants, and v array is an array. Array.push. Array, I'm just trying to run this and call. Whenever you're reading a variant, it reads like a JSON, square bracket and all this stuff. This is a array that it has been returned, and then if you want to query this array, right, error. So this, instead of you putting into a table and then copy into from the table and all this stuff, right, you can run this SQL statement and then copy into command. You can just copy into at the rate of s3 slash log from, and you can write this particular. So instead of you generating an object and all this stuff, you can just, and messages are much more faster in JavaScript. You can have thousands of messages, you convert them and then push into a file if you want to generate a file. Okay, this is pretty much about the stuff that I have promised. I think we are all good. So I'll fix that errors that whatever you want, right? I'll fix it and send it to the use case that we are working on. I think that is pretty much about it. I think I have covered almost 90% of the uh, Snowflake content. There might be a couple of them. So if you want to look at any SQL part of it, right, so you have to explore this Snowflake documentation, right? SQL command
Well,
extras.
actually, there are,
Mhm.
I see that there are many differences with the normal SQL in Snowflake, like multi-insert feature is there. And there
No,
are
no,
some
no.
extra
Yeah,
features.
yes, I'll tell you. So
Okay.
there are extra features that are given by Snowflake.
So
So
you are not
ANSYS
sharing this.
SQL, I am sharing screen. Yeah. So you can have multi-insert, you can have select statements, and the rows can be inserted in one single row. So I cannot give you the entire SQL part of the Snowflake, that you have to explore. But ANSYS SQL, meaning Whatever the SQL that is running in Snowflake, Oracle should also get executed in Snowflake. Running in SQL Server should also get executed in Snowflake. So it supports ANSI SQL, and on top of it, it has given many more advantages in writing the SQLs that is only in particular to Snowflake.
Okay.
Okay, so you just explore this SQL, this particular SQL commands reference, right? There are a lot of stuff here. Just the syntaxes that helps you out. Okay, and I cannot teach you all this stuff because this is too much. And if I start teaching the SQL, how do you write in Snowflake, right? You can write a SQL, whatever you have in Oracle, that can be written in Snowflake. That is good enough for you. And if you want to explore more options, you can just look at the documentation.
So as a developer, mostly we will be referring to this skill command only. Like whatever we do, mostly we will be referring to this one only. Apart from this, we may be creating views and we may be creating implemented views and procedures,
Yes.
functions as a
So
developer,
this
right?
that is, as a developer, you will be writing procedures, you will be doing streams and tasks, and then you will be running your what do you call merge commands, and trying to do transformations, trying to do aggregations. So there are a lot many things that you will be doing it. Okay, you'll be setting up snow pipes and trying to see, and if there is any failures, how do you troubleshoot them. So these are all the day-to-day activities that you will be doing.
Okay.
Okay, so and there ends this the program. And if you want to have your resumes prepared, right, you can send me your resume. I can give you the content on top of whatever you have worked on, which suits you, so that you can explain your project a little more easier. Normally what I do, right, yeah, I take your last project and convert them into Snowflake. That helps you to, so you know the functionality part of Snowflake. You know the functionality of the project, right? Then you explain them what happened in Snowflake. How did you do it? Snowflake. So that is much more easier for you to portray or talk to them, right? So that's what I do, and I give you a little more content. If you can send me, and I can help you out with that as well.
Sir, you can send like or the roles and responsibilities of the Snowflake developer. So that will
I
be
can I cannot do. I see roles that is very static. If you go on Google anywhere, you'll get to know.
okay.
So, but what you present in your resume is important, right?
Okay.
So that's what.
Sir,
So you give me your content, and then I'll tell you what can be written. So I cannot share sample resumes. That doesn't help you out, because
hello,
you try to use the
hello.
same content in all the folks try to use the same content, and then it doesn't work out when you submit to, right. They might have similar resumes. I don't want to do that. I just want to have whatever you on top of it. I'll give you some content, so that becomes easier for you.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, then get ready.
Yeah. Sir, masking and encryption topics are left over, right?
Sorry, come again.
Masking and encryption.
Yeah, that next week.
Yeah.
So I'm asking, and then there are other extra topics that I want to do. Masking is important one, so I'll
Yeah.
definitely cover the masking next week. So I do have the column level security and all these examples, but I don't. There is a row level security that was introduced very recently, and people they were using views to emulate the row level security. Now you can have the row level security done by Snowflake itself. So I'm trying to build a use case for it. I'll get the use case for row level, column level, and try to present it to you next weekend.
Okay. So next week we'll also be having class, right?
Yeah, so next week, and you will be clubbed with many other folks that I've already trained before. So it's not
Okay.
only for your batch. So I'm gonna call everybody who if there is any new thing, right? What do you call new feature? I normally call everybody and try to explain the new feature to everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shikhar sir, the use case one I was talking about, are we gonna try it out, or probably we can try it out next week? How is
Yeah,
it?
that's all. See, if you have a folder underneath a bucket, and you have underneath you are, so you there should be some assumptions. Without that, it's kind of very difficult. So when you say, right, when you have an internal stage, I'll write it down for you, and then I'll tell you how that can be done. So this your S3 bucket, and
Sir,
underneath
for
that,
example, we can there are four folders underneath one folder. We can, by this
so this
assumption, we can.
is a thing that this is a data load folder, and underneath that you have. So you tell me, how do you want?
Yeah, in within that, have four folders: A, B, C, and D.
A, B, C,
And
D.
D. Yeah,
Now you tell me.
yeah. Now in each A, B, C, D have 10 file each in this folder, and and I'm willing to load it to one table, all reading all these files, and you would want to load it to one table.
No, that should be okay. It's pretty simple. So file one, right? F1, F2, F3, F4. For example, right? When you create, and then if you say list, list at the rate of Narendra, I'll talk to you. Narendra, hold on, okay? Narendra, I saw your ping, and then I'll so there is a batch. I'll tell you. You do have my number, right, Narendra? Do you have my number? Yeah, you call me or text me or message me, WhatsApp me. I'll tell you the details of it. Okay. If it's a list at the rate of your folder name, right? What will happen? You have given until here, right? So it will show you all the files F1, F2, F3. And when you say copy into table from this particular stage, right? It brings in all the files.
So root folder would give us all the
Yeah,
files
it gives
within the
you,
folder.
yeah, when you load without mentioning any subfolders or anything, right? Then it loads all the files into the table.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, you don't need to
Yes.
worry about it. Whatever, so if you are sure that all the files will go into one single table, you are set, you're cool, all good.
That means file
If it is a
structure should be
different
clear.
tables, then we would be
No, no,
having
that means
challenges
if
to
F1
identify
and
the folder.
F2, yeah, F1, F2 should go into one table, F3, F4 should go into one table, then you have a challenge. Then you have to,
Yeah,
whenever you are trying to do the copy command, right, you have to give the specific path in, and then you can load that into a table.
correct.
Okay. Okay, sir. If it is a if we have dynamic folders within the let us say.
Doesn't matter what is dynamic folder.
No, sir. I mean, what I'm trying to say, S3 bucket. Within S3
Mm-hmm.
bucket, I have a data load is a one folder.
Mm-hmm.
What if I have dynamic folders called data load 1, data load 2, data load 3? Can we handle that situation as well?
Why not? You just, because if you have created a external stage to a root bucket and say list,
Hmm.
right? It gives you all the files, all the files underneath, all the doesn't matter with the folder name. It lists all the files, and you can, whenever you say copy into, right, it loads all the files into the table, and all the files should be of the same format, and it should follow. So if there are some errors in that particular files, then you can skip it. How do you handle the copy command? The same way you can do that here, but you're not, when you say list, right, it gives you all the files,
Okay.
whether dynamic non-dynamic doesn't matter. When you list, underneath your stage means which points your root folder, underneath that you'll have all the files. When you say copy into one, right, so even you can do that in your internal stage. You put 10 files in 10 different folders and then load, all of them gets loaded.
Okay.
Okay.
Sir, one more thing, like, see, we have a get DDL statement, right, where we can get the actual DDL created in the database.
Mm-hmm.
So in Oracle, we will see it in the all objects. Like there are some different tables where the source data will be stored directly, like metadata. Or we created the
Yeah, so
procedure
that is
text stuff will be created in some table.
we talked about it, right? Snowflake, what do you call, S- Snowflake database. When you look at this one, right? So Snowflake account usage, you have all the columns here. Copy history, whenever you copy data, copy into a table, you have all the metadata here, databases here, and you have file formats here, functions here, and what are the roles that are given, all these roles related stuff. Load history, how did you load the data here. Login, when was the user logged in, all this stuff. This is about the masking policies that you created. We are going to talk about it. And then pipes, how many pipes you have here. Pipes usage history, we talked about it. And then query history, whenever you go and then click on the query history, right, this is what it comes from, this particular thing. And the roles, and then you have sessions, stages, tables, everything is here in the users, views, all of them in the metadata. And you
We can
have
see
this
the definition. We can see the
definition, you
definition
cannot
of
see.
the
No,
procedure also.
no. Definition of the procedure cannot be there. In all objects, can you see? How can you see the definition of the procedure?
Like we can see by doing the get DDL, right? Like likewise, we can't see it from the UI.
No, get DDL is no, there is no way that you can do it here. But in
In
Oracle also, you
Oracle,
should
we
have
can
a
see.
tool like Toad or something which gives you the script of it, right? So if you create, there is no way that you can create, look at the script of a table. You
No,
have
no,
to
sir. We
combine
can.
the
No, in Oracle, you can see there is a text column. I don't remember the actual table. We can
bus,
get the text,
bus,
that will be
bus.
there.
If you create a view, if you create a procedure, if you create a package, there is a table called all source. You can see the
Correct.
text. But I have
Yes.
been, my entire life is in Oracle. Okay.
Yeah,
So
that is table is correct.
for the table you cannot. If you use any tools like Toad or anything, they get the data from columns. They get the data from the table names, and then they build, they generate and give it to you. Or there is some metadata procedures or functions. When you call them by passing the table name, they generate. So that's all Oracle part of it.
Okay.
Okay. So get detail is one way that you can go here. Okay.
So I have requested one material.
Zip thing,
Can
right?
you?
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I'll
Definitely.
send the, yeah, sure.
Yes.
So
Actually, sir,
you. Mhm.
actually last this batch, I was missed in the initial days, and I
Mhm.
got corona in between. I lost, I think, 4 week classes. I will.
Yeah, you can join. You can join the next batch. I'll tell you when the next batch is, and then you can start joining the next batch, Vikram.
Yeah, please, sir. Yeah, thank you, sir.
You call me to, tonight.
Okay.
Um, You after this, give me half an hour break and then call me. We can discuss about it. Don't forget to call me. Call me, please.
Yeah, I will call you at 7:30, sir.
7:30. Please call me at 7:30.
Okay.
Okay. Narendra, you also call me at 7:30, please. Okay. Okay, guys. Then sure. Then okay. So I think
Thank you,
I
sir.
have covered a lot of 90% of the snowflake stuff. And then if you guys have any questions, right, you can just ping me on the WhatsApp group. I can respond to that as well. Okay.
So actually, before joining this class, no, I was thinking Snowflake is like just what we have it in the Oracle SQL, the same thing will be there. But after joining this class, no, I come to know
Mhm.
that there are so many things which we have to learn from Snowflake. So
Yeah,
it was
that is
good for us.
yes, yes, yes. So you join
It
in
is
the
not,
next batch, and then whatever the classes that you have missed, right? You can go
yeah,
through them again. No worries.
yes, yes.
Okay, cool then. So thank you so much, guys. Thanks for joining my program. It was a pleasure training you guys. So if you have any questions, ping me in the WhatsApp group. Weekend batch is there, right? I can respond back. I can help you with your resumes and all this stuff. Okay.
Thank you, sir. So it was great having conversation with you, sir. It is great
Thank you.
learning.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Santosh. Thank you.
Really great, sir. No one is giving this much of content out, sir.
Yeah, that is correct.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, guys. It's just a passion. So I just want to make sure that you're ready for the market. Apart from that, nothing else. You can do some Udemy and all this stuff that is not detailed. You don't get the performance issues that I talk about. You don't get the procedures that we do all kinds of scenarios. So all I just want to make sure that, and the other thing is right. I have an advantage where people after getting into their job, right, they come to me for support, and I have other folks who learned from me and they are working. So I hook up with them and then they talk financial terms. I don't have anything with that, but I'll make sure that those guys have a WhatsApp group for two of them, and they post all the questions in their office challenges. What are the environment they have, right? I have to build this. How can we do? I have to set up rules. How can we do? So I get to know all kinds of scenarios, real-time scenarios that I present in the class. That is big advantage to the folks who are trying to learn.
Sir, can we be part of that group, sir? Is it advisable or?
No, that is only because, for example, Santosh, you got a job, and I'll hook up with somebody, and you have to
Mhm.
pay for the services. For 1 or 2 months, they'll be helping you out with their. Whenever you are working on something, you are walking into your meetings, you want to deliver something, they'll help you out, and you have to pay to them. This the support service you have to pay them, and they'll make sure that I am also part of the group. So you, there is somebody called Anand. So I hook you up to Anand. And then you, Anand, and me, we three are a group.
Oh, okay.
So whenever you
Okay.
have challenges, questions, and everything, right? You just post it. So I want to have a meeting at 9 o'clock. Is it? Are you free, Anand? Yeah, I'm free. So I have an issue that I want to deliver tomorrow. And this is what the issue is. Or they talk to each other, and if they have any challenges, if Anand cannot deliver, right? I step in and then I help them out.
Okay. If you don't mind, what are the charges? Is it? Can you
It
discuss here
depends
also?
upon it depends upon your capability. See, if you're very weak in SQL, they have to write you to SQL and all this stuff. They charge you 30K, and if you're good, right, they charge you about 25K. So that is kind of insurance, right? So
Okay.
you buy an insurance for your car. You've never met with an accident. That's good. But if you, in case, met with an accident, that covers for you. The same thing, first 2 months, people tend to take it so that it's a new environment, new technology. They don't want to get into scenarios where they cannot deliver anything because they have already put in 2.5 years of experience on their resume and all this stuff, right? So people do that. So they take help from somebody else who can guide them better. and after 2 months you will be a master. And down the lane, after 9 months or 1 year, I'll ask you, Santosh, there is another guy who got a job. Can you support him? And then you will become the guide for that guy.
Okay, got it, sir.
Yeah. Yes, you can clone a snow pipe as well, Narendra. We'll talk about it. You, Narendra, call me after half an hour and then we'll discuss. Okay. Vikram, you should also call me after half an hour. Okay.
Yeah, definitely, sir. I will come.
Okay, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
We'll have
Thank you
some
so
fun
much
with
for
this.
your patience and clarifying our doubts and going through such a wonderful journey of learning.
Cool.
If anything is, definitely we will reach it out, sir.
Yeah, reach out to us and then I can help you out with whatever ways I could. Okay.
Sure, sir. Sure. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so much
you.
again.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.